Stop for a moment and look at the palm of your hand. We live in an age of silicon chips and global positioning systems. We feel superior to those who came before us. We call them primitive. We imagine them huddled in caves, scratching at the earth with sticks and stones. But what if I told you that our arrogance is our greatest blind spot? What if the evidence of a far more advanced past is staring us in the face, hidden in plain sight? Today, we are moving beyond the surface-level mysteries. We are going to look at the hard data, the physical impossibilities, and the mathematical precision that mainstream history chooses to ignore. Think about this. The Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 0.15 degrees. Modern engineers, equipped with laser levels and satellites, struggle to reach that level of perfection in large-scale construction. How did a civilization we label as Bronze Age achieve what we consider a high-tech feat today? It is time to ask the question that no one wants to answer. Who is truly the backward one here? Is it them, or is it us, the descendants who have forgotten how to speak the language of the earth and the stars? Let us start with a mystery that fits in the palm of your hand: the Roman dodecahedrons. Over 100 of these hollow bronze objects have been unearthed across Europe. They feature 12 pentagonal faces, each with a hole of a different size and small knobs at every corner. The Romans were meticulous record keepers. They wrote down recipes for fish sauce and detailed blueprints for aqueducts. Yet, in all the vast library of Roman literature, there is not a single mention of these objects. Archaeologists have spent decades guessing their purpose. Some say they were candle holders, others say they were tools for knitting gloves. But look closer at the craftsmanship. The casting of these objects requires a sophisticated understanding of metallurgy. If they were merely common tools, why are they found in elite graves alongside gold and precious jewels? And why are some found in garbage pits, discarded like broken machinery? It is almost as if the Romans understood something about geometry and measurement that we have lost. They did not need to write it down because it was as fundamental to them as Wi-Fi is to us. Now, let us move from geometry to nanotechnology. In the British Museum, there sits a vessel known as the Lycurgus Cup. To the naked eye, it looks like a beautiful, jade-green Roman cup. But when you shine a light through it, it glows a brilliant, fiery red. For 1,600 years, scientists had no idea how this was possible. In the 1990s, they finally put it under an electron microscope. What they found was staggering. The Romans had infused the glass with particles of gold and silver. But these were not just random flakes. They were ground down to a size of 70 nanometers. To put that in perspective, a single human hair is about 80,000 nanometers wide. The Romans were manipulating matter at the atomic level. Today, we call this nanotechnology. We require multi-million-dollar laboratories and extreme precision to achieve this. Yet, the Romans did it 16 centuries ago. Mainstream science calls this a lucky accident. But you do not accidentally grind gold into precise 70-nanometer particles and distribute them evenly through molten glass. That is not luck. That is a lost chemical industry. If they could do this with glass, what else were they doing that we have completely missed? Now, let us travel to Egypt, but far beneath the sands. Deep in the tunnels of Saqqara, there is a place called the Serapeum. Inside these narrow tunnels sit 24 massive granite boxes. Each one weighs up to 100 tons. That is the weight of 2 fully loaded Boeing 747s. These boxes were carved from solid blocks of Aswan granite, quarried 500 miles away. How do you move a 100-ton block across the desert and then lower it into a tunnel so tight that modern machinery cannot even fit? But the logistics are not even the most impressive part. The true mystery is the precision. The internal surfaces of these boxes are perfectly flat to within a few thousandths of an inch. The corners are exactly 90 degrees. If you place a modern machinist's square against the corner, there is no gap. Archaeologists tell us these were built with copper chisels and stone hammers. Think about that for a second. Try cutting a piece of hard granite with a copper penny and see how far you get. It is like trying to perform heart surgery with a butter knife. And yet, there they are. 24 masterpieces of engineering sitting in total darkness. If they were just coffins for bulls, why the obsession with mathematical perfection? Why make the lids fit so perfectly that they create a vacuum seal? Perhaps we are looking at something far more functional than a tomb. Perhaps we are looking at an ancient technology that used vibration or resonance concepts we are only beginning to rediscover. Next, let us go to China, where the Earth hides another impossibility. In 1992, a group of farmers decided to drain a pond. They discovered the Longyou Grottoes. These are 24 enormous man-made caves carved into solid siltstone. Each cave is about 30,000 square feet, with ceilings reaching 100 feet high. In total, they moved nearly 1 million cubic meters of rock. Where did that rock go? There is no evidence of the debris anywhere in the surrounding landscape. Even more bizarre, the walls are covered in parallel grooves carved at a precise 60-degree angle. The lines are perfectly uniform, as if carved by a massive machine. There are no soot marks on the ceilings, meaning they did not use torches for light. How do you carve a mountain from the inside out in total darkness, with perfect symmetry? The official records of the Han Dynasty are incredibly detailed. They mention everything from tax codes to the emperor's daily schedule. Yet, there is no mention of the construction of the Longyou Grottoes. An engineering project of this scale would have required thousands of workers and decades of labor. It would have been the wonder of the ancient world. Unless, of course, the people who built it did not want it to be found. Or perhaps, it was built by a civilization that preceded the Han, a people whose history was wiped clean. In Turkey, we find a similar story with Derinkuyu. This is an entire city carved deep into the volcanic rock. It goes down 18 levels, reaching a depth of nearly 200 feet. It could comfortably house 20,000 people, along with their livestock and food supplies. It features a sophisticated ventilation system that provides fresh air to the deepest levels. Massive stone doors, weighing half a ton, could be rolled into place to seal off each level from the inside. They carved out stables, wineries, chapels, and schools. To build this, you have to understand the structural integrity of the rock perfectly. One wrong move, and the entire mountain collapses on top of you. Mainstream history says it was built as a hiding place from invaders. But you do not build a city for 20,000 people overnight. The sheer scale of the excavation is mind-boggling. They moved millions of tons of stone without leaving a trace. The question is not just how they built it, but why they needed to be so deep underground for so long. What were they really hiding from? Now, let us look at the Moai of Easter Island. Nearly 900 giant stone statues, some weighing over 80 tons. For years, we wondered how a small population on a treeless island moved these giants miles from the quarry. The local legend said the statues walked. Mainstream science laughed at this for a century. But then, experimental archaeologists tried something different. They realized the statues were designed with a forward-leaning center of gravity and a D-shaped base. By using ropes and a rhythmic rocking motion, a small team could make the statues waddle forward. They literally did walk. This is a perfect example of ancient people using physics and engineering in ways that we ignored because we thought we were smarter. They did not need wheels. They used the natural geometry of the stone and the power of resonance. This brings us back to the Great Pyramid of Giza. Most people know it is big, but few realize it is an 8-sided structure, not 4. Each of the 4 faces is slightly concave, an indentation that is only visible from the air during the equinoxes. This requires an almost impossible level of precision in the placement of millions of stone blocks. The pyramid is located at the exact center of the Earth's landmass. The speed of light, measured in meters per second, is numerically identical to the geographic coordinates of the pyramid. Is this a coincidence? How many coincidences are required before we admit it is a design? The builders knew the size of the Earth. They knew the speed of light. They knew the movements of the stars, and they encoded all of it into the most durable medium possible, stone. We look at the copper tools in the museum and think we have the whole story. But those tools were for the maintenance, not the construction. The construction required a level of technology that may not have been mechanical at all. Finally, we must look at Göbekli Tepe. Found in Turkey, this site is 12,000 years old. That is 7,000 years older than the first known cities in Mesopotamia. According to our current model of history, humans at this time were simple hunter-gatherers. They were supposed to be wandering the plains, chasing gazelles. Yet, they carved 20-ton pillars with intricate reliefs of lions, vultures, and scorpions. They arranged them in perfect concentric circles. To build Göbekli Tepe, you need a specialized labor force, a food supply chain, and a deep understanding of geometry. It flips the script on everything we were taught. We thought farming led to religion and complex society. Göbekli Tepe shows us that the desire to build something vaster than ourselves is what forced us to invent farming. The temple came before the city. The spiritual technology came before the agricultural one. And then, after building it for generations, they buried it. They deliberately covered the entire site with thousands of tons of clean earth. It was a time capsule, waiting to be found by a future generation that might finally be ready to listen. We look at these sites and we see a mystery. But the mystery is only there because we refuse to accept the obvious. Our ancestors were not primitive. They were masters of a science that we have forgotten. They understood the earth, the stars, and the human mind in a way that our modern, distracted world can barely comprehend. They did not leave us riddles. They left us a legacy. They left us proof that human potential is far greater than what we are told in our history books. It is time to stop looking at the past with pity. It is time to start looking at it with humility. We are not the pinnacle of human achievement. We are simply one chapter in a very long, very advanced story. The evidence is there, in the stones, in the glass, and in the earth. All we have to do is be brave enough to look. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the forgotten truths of our past. What do you think is the most undeniable proof of ancient technology? Is it the precision of the pyramids or the chemistry of the Romans? Leave a comment below and let us start a conversation that history refuses to have. If you value the search for the truth, subscribe and stay tuned. The past has many more secrets to reveal, and we are just getting started. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and never stop asking why.